Dr. Carter from ER, Noah Wyle. A lot of people who were in the cast and associated with the program spun off into other things, perhaps most notably George Clooney.
Yes, Mr. Clooney's done quite well for himself.
Yes, he has.
Liquor business, I believe.
Among other things. He likes to play practical jokes on people. Did he ever do anything like that to you?
Well,
He's a jokester.
I sort of pegged him early as one to watch and made sure that I was more of an accomplice than a victim. And that's best served by not leaving the table first. Whoever leaves the table first, inevitably George would go, you know what we should do? So even if you have to use the bathroom, you hold it. You hold it until somebody else gets up.
Has there ever been talk, just curious about doing a reboot with ER?
Well,
I think I've stumbled onto something.
Yeah, this has not been talked about, but that's kind of the road we had started down. In 2020, I was getting all this mail from first responders, and I had this desire to pivot the compliments to John Wells. So I emailed him and I said, hey, I'm getting all this lovely sort of mail from people that are thanking us for keeping them entertained or inspire them to go into the careers that they're in the first place. And I just have to say thank you, that except for my children, this is probably the best thing I've ever done with my life, and I just want to say thanks. And then I went on, and I said, I know you don't want to reboot the show. I don't either. I thought it was very smart not to franchise it and to dilute what we did. But if you ever wanted to do something much smaller and much sort of more contained, more of a character piece, kind of catching up to an old character and just finding out how they feel about what's happening right now in healthcare, kind of use them as a Jeremiah opportunity to say what you want, I would vote for that. I would be on board for that. And he thought about it, and we talked about it, and then we ended up bringing in a couple of the old ER writers, Scott Gemmell and David Zabel. We talked about it. And we came up with a concept, and it really never got out of the starting gate. We had some issues with the Crichton estate, and the negotiations became a non-starter. So in a lot of ways, it was a dodge bullet and a blessing, because that would have been the focus. It would have been on, hey, it's the brand again, and who's coming back to play, and oh my God, he looks great, and oh my, and I really want the focus to be on the content of what we're trying to put across. And so I think this will be a pure delivery system in a lot of ways than it would have been if we had done the reboot, but we came close.
Your mother was a nurse, right? Orthopedic nurse?
Yes. 10 years OR, 10 years orthopedics.
Did she ever give you any advice about your work?
Advice?
Or how to approach something?
Advice, criticism, it's a fine line sometimes, isn't it? No, she would call at 11:01 and say, you never touch your face with bloody gloves. What, do you want to get AIDS? I've got to go to the hospital tomorrow and answer for that. And I'd say, okay, point taken.
That's cool. At least she had an interest.
She had
a vested interest.
Yeah, vested interest. She was, because she would know what was coming up on the storyline, so she was very in the know. Yep.
Is it true that you once had to give a dog mouth to mouth?
Only because Mr. Spielberg demanded it be done. He took an interest in our show in the first season. He was executive producer and shared an anecdote about how when he was a teenager, he worked in an emergency room in Phoenix and had seen some physicians stop what they were doing and give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a German Shepherd and save its life. Thought it would be fun to do on the show, and I drew the short straw, and that was that. Sucking on snout for a couple hours.
Well, interesting. But I suppose when Spielberg says, do
Jump,
it.
how high?